Alright, we are back, with Great Ace Attorney Chronicles, the second game, Great Ace Attorney 2 Resolve. And we just subpoenaed Olive Green to the trial, because she's definitely related to the case in question. She had the other half of this envelope, and obviously Duncan Ross, was it? Yeah, Duncan Ross died in the same room that, Selden, the crime lord, was taking up residence. And that's, not Natsumi, well, Natsume is the current resident of that room, and, Shamspear, we've established, was basically trying to murder, Natsume Soseki to get the, or probably to get access to get into that room so that he could, like, try to search it for clues to Selden's lost valuables, basically. Or valuables. Anyway, 23rd February, 11:32 a.m., the Old Bailey Defendant's Antechamber. Joyful Jubal Jumping Jacks! Nah, you shouldn't be so upbeat, Saseki.
Oh, Mr. Natsume, I'm so pleased for you.
Locum Student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire, non-locum judicial assistant Miss Mikotoba Esquiris. Now, finally, at long last, there can be proof. Proof that I'm innocent and proof that my tea is innocent. Honestly, yeah, we'll just save on this one. Probably saving too often, but still. Ah, good morning, my dear fellows. Hairlock Soames! May you drink my tepid tea and fall forever silent. I thought the tea was innocent.
Oh, Mr. Soames, you came. How wonderful.
Please, save your derision. I know what you're all thinking. Good morning, he says, when it's nearly time for luncheon. Your scorn is written clearly across your faces. Nobody said or thought anything of the sort. The truth is, I was determined that today would be the day. Sleep seduced me last night. Apologies, for yawning. I'm so quite tired. I thought, tomorrow, for once, I shall not oversleep. I'll rise early and be present in court to support my companions. Such spirit and determination has a beauty all of its own, doesn't it not?
Oh, yes.
And then I began to muse on the subject. Why do people oversleep, I queried. Why time after time do they make the same foolish blunder? So the reason for that is because our biological clocks, like, basically, our biological clocks are programmed to sleep, basically, from when the sun goes down to when the sun rises. Which most of the time ends up being more than 8 to the 8 to 9 hours that modern lifestyle allows for. It's why sleeping in is so common when someone has. It's one of the reasons sleeping in is so common when one doesn't have any commitments on a preceding day. Or on a particular day. The answer came to me at once. It's so delightfully simple. People oversleep because they sleep. Well, is that not an astute insight into the matter?
Oh, yes.
Upon which realization, I attempted an experiment. I didn't sleep a wink all night. And the result? By first light, I was exhausted and began to be assailed by fits of drowsiness. Shocking. And so, the conclusion of last night's experiment is this. A good night's sleep is quite simply essential. Yes, I think I know most of us probably knew that. Yes, I think most of us probably knew that already. What others presuppose, I proved by experimentation. That, my dear fellow, is the scientific method. Ah yes, and one more thing. Do you remember this?
Ah!
Yes, of course. It's the poison that Miss Green was about to drink at the hospital yesterday. Oh, you didn't manage to. It was a laborious task as the bottle was near empty, but such inconveniences do not hinder Schultz. I managed to confirm that it contains strychnine. So I was right. Perhaps, though of course such circumstantial evidence doesn't prove Miss Green's guilt. I shall leave the bottle in your care now. But licking the inside of the bottleneck is not recommended. Bottle poison entered into the court record. Bottle found in the possession of Mr. Green with traces of the slow-acting poison strychnine inside.
Could I have a word?
Well, give me a minute, whoever you are. I have to examine this bottle of poison. This is the poison we've been hearing so much about. Strychnine. There are a few remnants on the bottom of the bottle. Here, look.
You mustn't be tempted to try it.
Of course not, as long as we don't lose this trial.
No! Even if we lose the trial. No, we mustn't lose the trial in the first place, Mr. Naruhodo.
Make up your mind, Susato-san. I mean, I don't see anything on the bottom there. Can I have a word? Great, son. How good of you to come. Forget it. Excuse me. Wait a minute, Inspector. I don't wish to make a nuisance of myself. The look on your face, I'd say it's someone else who you think is making a nuisance of himself. My dear Inspector, please, speak freely. Pretend I'm not here. Believe me, if I could do that, life would be a whole lot simpler for me.
Do you have the results, Inspector, of this investigation of Mr. Shakespeare's room?
Not yet. Shouldn't be long now, though. No, I'm here about something else. A dead convict, actually. Oh, you mean the man from this newspaper article discovered yesterday in Mr. Shakespeare's room?
I went by the name of, yes, Sullivan.
I went through the archives in the yard and dug out the fellow's file. There's something in there that... well, it caught my eye.
Something caught your eye? What, Inspector? What?
I've copied out the relevant parts for you so you can read it for yourselves.
Thank you.
Capital Offenders file has been entered into the court record. Salmon Yard file about the convicted criminal Sullivan that includes the newspaper article about him dying of illness in prison.
These documents.
18 counts of burglary, 6 counts of suspected murder, died of natural causes while still in prisons. Final one was witnessed only by his cellmate. Estimated 1,000 pounds worth of loot here still remains uncovered. Manchester's Strangeways prison announced the death of convicted murderer and burglar Selden by natural causes in the early hours of the morning. He had been suffering with fever since the end of October, alerted by the shouts of his fellow cellmate. Medical staff arrived to find him already dead before his capital punishment could be carried out. Interesting. His final moments were witnessed by his cellmate, huh?
These documents include details that were the details that were in the newspaper cutting we found in Mr. Shakespeare's room. I'll arrange everything in the court record so we don't have duplicate information.
Why are you giving us a copy of this important file? Oh, you're the ones who turned up the clue in the first place, aren't you? Did they just completely get... Oh, yeah, they did just completely get rid of the... They just completely replaced the article. I'm just making sure we're gonna get it handled in the proper fashion.
Oh, Scotland Yard's workings are so wonderful.
Indeed, my dear fellows, and the inspector here is a shining diamond in its crown. A shining diamond in the rough, maybe. Look, I just don't want to be beholden to a lawyer, that's all. Counsel for the defense or the defendant. Court proceedings are about to resume. Make your way into the courtroom at once. Well, I shall leave you then. I'll be listening with interest from the public gallery. Not nodding off at all, certainly not. Thank you, Mr. Jones. I'm rather tired of seeing Mr. Mustache floods of tears personally, so the best of luck to you. Thanks for the words of encouragement, Jones. We probably wouldn't be in this mess.
Welcome soon, Mr. Naruto and Squire.
Yes, Mr. Natsumi?
It's time, isn't it?
Yes, this is it. Miss Olive Green and Mr. William Shakespeare. This is going to be the final battle. I won't really have saved Saseki's son until I've exposed the whole truth of everything that's been going on. It's all coming to a head now. You can do it, Rinosuke. You have to. "23rd February, 12:30 p.m. The Old Bailey courtroom." I'm sorry if I seem tired. It's been 3 hours already, and it's after midnight, as you can see. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session again now. Before the recess, we heard a most startling accusation from the defense, namely that the victim of the case we heard here only a few days ago is the true perpetrator of this incident. A reckless, rash, and prejudiced charge of wrongdoing, in my opinion, my lord. However, the prosecution has tried to extend every courtesy to this amateur newcomer from the dubious eastern shores, and also we'll have to fix the audio. Thank you for that backhanded consideration. A rather cold assessment from the honorable British prosecutor, I must say. So, Lord Van Zeeks, is the new witness present and ready to take the stand? Ready and waiting for the witness's antechamber, my lord. Very well. Bailiff, bring the witnesses in. Witnesses, state your names and occupations for the court, please.
William Shakespeare, my liege. For mine occupation, I can say only that I be a tragic victim to be pitied.
Currently unemployed, in other words.
I'm Olive Green. I'm a fishing artist. Well, no, not a fishing artist, sweet. Almost failure is too weak-spirited to admit she has no talent, I suppose.
Also currently unemployed, in other words. What a coterie. Mr. Shakespeare.
My lord, I am thy humble servant.
I'm afraid that you are no longer merely the victim in this affair. possibility has been raised that you are in fact the assailant intending on taking the life of your fellow lodger. The part you played in this whole business will be thoroughly scrutinized, I assure you.
I would for naught else, my lord.
And Miss Green,
Yes.
you are aware of the reason you've been summoned to this courtroom today, I presume.
Yes, the officer did explain. He said I poisoned this ridiculous buffoon.
And do you accept the charge, Miss Green?
I don't know anything about any poisoning. And I don't know anything about this man. Come, lady, die to live. Verily, I know not thy prickly, pigmented personage.
Very well, let us proceed with the matter at hand. That being to ascertain whether or not Miss Green has any involvement in this affair.
It's all very strange indeed. Why would you suspect me? I barely ever go to the East End anyway. It's obvious I passed by that neighborhood 6 days ago, that's all. And on the night this man was poisoned, I was still in hospital fighting for my life.
Yes, having been unfortunately caught up in the incident on the street outside the Gerdem household. An incident that rendered you unconscious for some 3 days.
I was struck in the middle of my back by a knife through no fault of my own. Now I'm under suspicion. Things we're gonna be suspected of. It's all very disturbing.
Your energies may be better spent worrying about random knife attacks I feel on the screen. At this point in time, all that appears to connect you with Mr. Chancellor's lodgings is the Briar Road incident of 6 days ago. That's why. We would like you to testify for one now about exactly what happened.
Oh no! It's 6 days ago? You want me to relive that awful accident?
Unfortunately, yes. Please tell the court what happened that day. And of course, we will be interested to hear from you about your movements that day too, Mr. Shakespeare.
But what happened 6 days ago has nothing to do with me being poisoned.
Let us proceed then. The witnesses will present their formal testimony to the court on the subject of the incident that took place on Briar Road on the evening of the 17th of February. You know, coincidentally, to date this video, it is currently February 22nd. So, almost like lining up with the actual game date. In-game date.
It was 6 days ago, about 5 p.m. I was walking along in the snow when I was suddenly stabbed in the back. Coincidentally, it happened to be just outside the house where the men in this case had their lodgings. I was at the tavern on the eve of which thou speakst, for I had bespoke my supper. It was the first time I've been in the area. I had a little matter to attend to, that's all. Anyway, I was admitted straight to hospital, so I knew nothing about all this business.
Yes, a second incident inside a week at what I believe to be aptly described as the haunted lodgings. One can only presume this is a most unfortunate coincidence. Meanwhile, you say you were not in your room, Mr. Shakespeare.
'Twas the following morn when I did awaken that I learned of the dire event. Marry, what commotion did the officers of the law make on the floor above mine?
Saseki-san was arrested on suspicion of attempted murder. As suspected, there's nothing connecting these two witnesses but happenstance. Sure, it does seem as though they're unrelated at first glance, but I'm not so sure. There's something lurking in the shadows here. I feel certain of it. And this is my one and only chance to expose them. Counsel, you may now cross-examine these two witnesses if you wish. Yes, my lord. I'm well acquainted with the case. I'm sorry you had to go through that.
It was awful. I still can't believe I was unconscious for so long. I will have to find the case has been solved and the culprit arrested.
Yes, the incident has been resolved already. Perhaps it would help you to consider it a bad dream that ended with your awakening. It should now be forgotten.
Yes, I suppose so. Thank you.
But before you put it completely behind you, Miss Green, I need you to remember the details one last time. You must tell the court exactly what happened that day for us to arrive at the truth about this new case.
The trouble is, there's nothing to tell, really. I was just walking along the pavement.
Hold it!
What were you doing there that day, though?
What do you mean?
The art school you attend. What's it called?
No, yes, it's the Thorndike Academy of Fine Arts.
According to Mr. Sholmes, that's just in the vicinity of Bridgestone Road, which is some 10 stops away from the scene on the underground. I believe you mentioned it before that you also live on Bridgestone Road, is that right? So why then would you have been walking along Briar Road in the middle of the East End?
Well, it's because, oh yes, of course. I thought it might make a nice picture.
The witness is a student of art. It's fitting to an artist can't all paint grand urban vistas.
That's right. I happen to like the crumbling look of that part of town.
Perhaps quaint would have been a less gratifying term? The point is, he's definitely hiding something.
Yes, it seems she's not going to be forthcoming with the truth.
She's trying to hide why she was there that evening. It must mean there's a reason for her not wanting us to know. That's the key to this. And you, Mr. Shamster, on the evening of the incident 6 days ago, would you tell the court what exactly you were doing?
'Twould be my pleasure, sire.
Tavern.
Hold it!
A tavern, you say? Which one?
'Twas the slug and salad where I did tarry. 'Tis a jewel in the East End.
And a little unexpected, I fear.
Hmm?
What do you mean, Lord Van Zeeks? The slug and salad offers unusually fine dining, for the locality at least. It's also the restaurant where Olive Green was supposed to meet her informant who had information about the death of Richard... of Duncan Ross. I don't know why I almost said Richard Doyle. That is a completely wrong name of her boyfriend. Not an establishment you'd expect to be patronized by a man with not even a crumb of bread in his room.
It's true. The menu lists premium crusts of bread and glasses of water in different levels of cloudiness.
I would have expected crumbs grubbery in the local vicinity to more appropriate for your means. Water is super mushy peas, or rather soupy water and pea like mush. Well, equally appetizing.
I just wanted to try some water in a different pub for once. What's wrong with that?
How different can water really be?
Or perhaps there's a more plausible explanation. a specific reason when he had to go to that particular establishment.
Agreed. The fact that on that day of all days, he dined at a place he wouldn't normally, it does stand out. There's no action on the date. Yeah. Although since it says it goes more suspicious, I wonder if we have some evidence to explain those actions. Not at the moment. I wish we did, but sadly I can't think of anything.
If we find a clue that could explain why Mr. Shakespeare was there, we must present it to the court.
Yes, absolutely. That is all in the matter. Counsel, I would ask Miss Green to reiterate her next statement.
Hold it!
What little matter, Miss Green? Please elaborate.
It is nothing really. It is not worth mentioning.
If you remember, you mentioned to us yesterday at the hospital. It was related to the card you were holding.
Miss Green!
What was that? She just hid something behind her back. From memory, I believe the card contained a note that read, I have information regarding the death of Duncan Ross.
What does that mean? This has nothing to do with Duncan.
Excuse me!
Mr. Shamster, do you have something to share with the court?
To be or not to be, that is the question. Ah, pray forgive me, the great bard's word springeth from within me without ne'er thought.
Don't tell me it's because you're possessed by Shakespeare's spirit, right? Hearing Miss Green's words a moment ago seemed to make you think of something. Something of relevance, perhaps?
Well, nay, sire, 'twas nothing at all.
Presumably you know the name, though. Mr. Duncan Ross, I believe. After all, you were both lodgers in the same house.
I would were it so, but sadly, nay. Lodging be a lonely occupation, sire. My lodging fellows would be rarely known to me.
So you haven't heard of them, even though he passed away in the room just one floor above yours? Miss Green.
You did something wrong?
That card that was mentioned before contained a note. Do you have it upon your person?
I do, yes, but I don't need it anymore. In fact, I should throw it away, really.
Before you dispose of it, the court will take it as evidence, please. Nice. That's the evidence we need. Of course, that's what lights Mr. Shakespeare and Miss Green. Can I actually read it? I can. The envelope has been ripped open rather carelessly, hasn't it? Miss Green strikes me as the type to open more correspondence more neatly than that.
Ah, what is it?
The way the envelope is torn, I'm almost sure I've seen that exact shape somewhere else.
Oh, you don't mean... Were you thinking of this piece of evidence, Mr. Naruto?
Exactly, that's it. Try to match them up.
They go together perfectly. This torn off into the envelope clearly belongs with this card.
Ooh, nice. Fits perfectly with an envelope in Miss Green's possession. It's a little annoying that we had to check a flag or under the hood to get that, but it's Duncan Ross. Now, continue with your testimony, please, Miss Green.
Hold it!
Tavern, you say? Which one? Slotted salad. A little unexpected. We have now we have evidence. I should say before presenting though, because something dumb might happen. They might be like, oh no, you didn't present this at the right time, and so you take a penalty. Because I can't, like, say my thought process would to the game. Plausible explanation. Now we have evidence. Mr. Shamsphere.
Yes, sire.
On the day in question, is it not the case that you visited the Slug and Salad, a place you don't normally patronize, for a very particular reason?
I don't know what you're talking about. Pray, if thou hast some purpose, speakest.
Very well. I will present the court with evidence. Evidence that explains why you had to be at the Slug and Salad that day. Namely, the card that Miss Green gave
Take
us.
that!
I believe this card reveals the answer. Good lord, Miss Green's card, you mean? That's right, my lord. It reads, I have information regarding the death of Duncan Ross. Come to the Slug and Salad on Briar Road at 5 p.m. on the 17th. Don't tell anybody else about this letter or the meeting. It is a matter of utmost importance. Mr. Shamsphere, your absence on the afternoon of Miss Green's stabbing are exactly as described in this note.
Oh,
So personally, I find it hard to believe that's a coincidence. Don't you, Mr. Shamsphere?
well... Excuse me, can I see something?
Yes, Miss Green?
That card was delivered to me. It doesn't have anything to do with this odd man, does it?
Well, you think so, yes, but it's hard to believe it's merely...
My lord, may I?
May you what, Miss Green?
I'd like to make something very clear about that card.
Very well, then you may amend your testimony. Include details about the peculiar note.
This note was delivered to me at my address. It's nothing to do with the odd man next to me.
That is where you are wrong, Miss Green. Objection! The day before the incident, exactly 1 week ago now, this note was delivered to your address. And upon carrying out the instructions of the note, you found yourself in hospital.
Yes, I did. It's terrible. Everything's happened to me.
Yes, it is terrible. If it's all true, that is.
What do you mean?
Miss Green, have a look at this, please. It's the torn off end of an envelope.
Oh, is it?
It so happens that it fits together perfectly with the envelope of the note you received.
Where did you find that?
In Mr. Shamsphere's room.
Eh? In my room?
Mr. Shamsphere, do you perhaps remember this note from somewhere?
Well...
Your actions that afternoon follow the instructions in the note to the letter. Come to the Slug and Salad on Briar Road at 5 p.m. on 17th. And so that's exactly where you went. Let me ask you again, Mr. Shamsphere. You already knew about this note, didn't you? And you, Miss Green.
What did I do?
This is torn off into the note of the envelope proves. The note was originally in Mr. Shamsphere's room. So how is it that it came to be in your possession?
I don't have the first idea. I'm just a fledgling artist after all.
There's only one explanation. You broke into Mr. Shamsphere's room and stole it.
You did what? Sorry, thou hast what? You broke. I mean, thou what in my room? What on earth do you want with me?
Ooh, I didn't expect to be pitting the witnesses against each other. It would seem that both witnesses need to testify again. Miss Green.
Yes?
Must you have the court's sympathy, I'm sure, for the suffering you have endured in recent events. Anyone found to be giving false testimony in a court of law will be duly punished. Please bear that in mind.
Yes, I know.
Very well, the witnesses, you will give formal testimony again. On the subject of this curious anomaly regarding the note Miss Green claims to have received. Can you please make it quick? It's getting really, really late. The anomaly of the note.
I do remember now. It was a week ago per adventure. The note was delivered unto me. On the day there with the United Terry a long hour at the Slug and Sun, yet nobody came. Thereafter, on the evening I shared the company of the Japanese fellow, I'd see the note had vanished. I don't know what you mean. You think I snuck into this man's room, do you? Why would I? I can put it in here, and it was for that turnout note. I think it's a long envelope. I don't know anything about it.
You claim to have received this letter, do you, Mr. Shanspeare? You now claim to have received this letter, do you, Mr. Shanspeare?
It is so, my lord. I would swear to have it set upon the table in my humble lodgings. Yet it is clear to me now that since I returned from the tavern that night, I have not laid eyes upon it.
Well, that being the case, young lady, it would appear that your testimony was...
A lie? Is that what you think? Oh, I very usually got the one lie.
So we had to prove who the note was intended for, or who the intended recipient of the note was for, right? But it would have to be for Duncan, because Duncan was her fiance, or it would have to be for her, right? Because Duncan was her fiance. I beg your pardon?
Just a fleeting notice, as I said, and fleeting notice don't lie. But it was delivered to me at my address, besides. We all know who the landlord here is.
That's true, Mr. Green. How do you explain the facts? This part of the envelope was without question found in Mr. Champspeare's room.
I don't see why I should explain.
Sorry?
I'm a fleeting notice. My job here is to just see what happened, that's all. It's your job to get the explanations and the proofs. You're the fledgling lawyer.
She's got a point. The Fletson will do his best. Evidently, my learned friend's cross-examination is our only hope of learning the truth. Well, counsel? I'm ready, my lord. Very well then, the defense will now proceed with the cross-examination of the witnesses.
Miss Green clearly did break into Mr. Shamspeare's room. There can be no question of that. And that's how she acquired the note.
Yes, two facts are starting to lead me to a possible explanation. For all of this. It's not a pretty one. Is it that he killed Duncan Ross as well? And she was trying to poison him because he like stole the letter from her or whatever.
Hold
Can you shed any light on the contents of the note at all?
Nay, sire, this is strange to me as a foreign tongue. Even with a knowledge of literature as great as mine own, verily, 'tis impenetrable.
But Mr. Duncan Ross had lodgings in the same household as you. In effect, he was your neighbor, so surely you knew him, didn't you?
Alack, if the choices betwixt I knew him and I knew him not, then 'tis with foreboding that I be forced to declare that we were by some small measure acquainted.
Despite your claims, though, you followed the note's instructions and went to the slug and salad. Presumably that was nothing to do with your knowledge of literature?
Marry, not will have the better of me, sire, save for the lure of curiosity. So 'tis true, I was compelled by mine own eager heart to betake myself to the tavern. Yet in the end, my curiosity was not satiated.
Hold it!
So even after waiting for an hour, nobody appeared?
Yes, sire, 'tis as thou sayest.
Really? You paused for a moment before you answered.
In truth, when thou asked whether nobody appeared, I did suddenly recall.
Really? Do you mean to tell the court that somebody did appear after all?
I was not alone that night at the Slug and Salad, my lord. No, 'tis returning to me now. I did treat my lips from almost clear water, and mine innards to a premium crusted bread. All around me, he danced a great many companions.
What do you mean?
Flies, sire, flies.
Good lord.
And the name Beelzebub, what were they? Fairies, perchance, from a midsummer night's dream, come to taunt me.
I think they were just flies.
I can't help thinking the flies ought to choose something more wholesome to buzz around. Is that wrong of me?
As the note vanished after Soseki. It went rather roughly.
Hold it!
When exactly did you notice it had gone missing?
Such idle thoughts now occupy my mind. I'm busied with greater ideas. And audio glitches, because good grief. I just can't get a break from those, can I?
In other words, you didn't notice. 7 days passed between your outing to the tavern and Mr. Natsume's visit to your room. Yes, it would appear that the note disappeared sometime in that interval.
Such idle thoughts now occupy my mind. I am busied with greater ideas.
And yet, during that time, Miss Green was comatose in the hospital, was she not? Then she could not have been stealing things from Mr. Shamspier's room.
Yes, of course. It's also for Mr. Lucindi, isn't it, Mr. President, is it?
You have so far failed to gain the satisfactory explanation as to how you came by the note. I am not here to advocate for your defense, madam. I won't tolerate inconsistencies in your story. You would do well to remember that.
Really?
That's what Francisque's getting at. Something news.
Hold it!
Why would I? It seems that this note was actually delivered to Mr. Shakespeare about 1 week ago.
Are you busy?
But for some reason, it ended up in your possession. I can't think of any way that could have happened except for you breaking into Mr. Shakespeare's lodging.
Objection!
But for what reason would the witness have done that? I won't deny that Miss Green's possession of the note would appear to defy logic. However, until and unless her involvement in this case can be proven in some other way, any further pursuit of this note is meaningless. I don't know if I can present profiles or not.
Miss Green could only have come to be in possession of the note by stealing it from Mr. Shakespeare's room. And yet there's no obvious reason why she would have done such a thing.
What if there was some other reason she broke into his lodgings, though?
Yes, we should pursue that idea, Mr. Naruhodo.
Close now, I can feel it. We're so close to a breakthrough. Do I have to present the picture?
Hold it!
So you don't want to tell the court the truth about the letter, is that it?
Nothing else, remember? Anderson nearly always introverted characters.
Introverted? Fee, this fledgling doth readily cast aspirations about my nature. Yet I am an angel, a seraph, birds do harmonize with my song, the wind doth frolic on my wing. Oh pity, wherefore dost thou accuse one so pure of heart, humble woman?
Okay, anything, sir. There is no vacancy just to feel you.
Tragedy, thou shalt not know the true heart of an artist until thine instruction hereafter by death. Oh, the days, oh, the years, alas, to enlighten thee, thou must wait so long and in vain.
Mr. Naruhodo, interject with some clever remark. This is your chance to shine.
I'm no Shakespearean actor, Miss Sato. No, as far as I can tell, the only thing that's going to resolve this argument
It's evidence, yes. It's clear that Miss Green did in fact break into Mr. Shakespeare's room, isn't it? And that's where she found this letter.
yes, two more or less foregone conclusions that led me to one terrifying conclusion.
Terrifying.
Yes, I'm afraid to say, the outcome of this cross-examination may well change how we look at this case completely. I'm just gonna try presenting the picture of Duncan Ross.
Hold it!
Oh, I hit the wrong button. Hang on, I think it'll be faster to just do this.
Objection!
That last statement was contradictory in a number of ways, I think you'll find. In a number of ways, you say. Well, that was apparently wrong. Don't know anything about it. Let me try presenting... Because the envelope fits perfectly with this. Let me try Miss Green's card, maybe?
Objection!
Nope. Why would you? Sure, it's not this.
Objection!
Okay, the things disappeared for a second, and I was like, wait, what? Why would she... Maybe the bottle poison?
Objection!
Oh yeah, I guess it was the bottle poison. Yesterday at the hospital, we saw you with this bottle. Though the contents spilt during the course of our meeting, a small quantity remained. According to the defense's independent analysis, Mr. Sholmes' chemistry set, the liquid that was inside the bottle was identified as strychnine. What? Strychnine? Did you say that? Is that correct? Did I hear that right? I couldn't tell because the audio fucking broke again. The very same poison that afflicted Mr. Shakespeare. Miss Green, you broke into this man's lodgings for one reason and one reason alone. To cover the end of the pipe that feeds the gas lamp in Mr. Shakespeare's room with poison. Can this be? You broke into my room to... It may seem incredible to the court. From the remaining clues, there's only one logical conclusion that we can reach. The person who attempted to take Mr. Shakespeare's life of poison was you, Miss Olive Green. I don't follow this. Order! Counsel, are you seriously suggesting this woman put the poison on the end of the gas pipe with the intent to kill? Yes, my lord. There's no other way to explain the facts. But if Miss Green did indeed set this odious trap 6 days ago, and the victim had put his mouth to the pipe that very evening as expected, this attempted murder would have been 6 days ago, sure. Well, that's a very good point. Perhaps not, my lord. I beg your pardon? There was a significant police presence in the area that evening on account of the incident on Briar Road. Local residents were being interviewed throughout the night as part of the ongoing inquiry. A circumspect criminal would likely have chosen not to carry out any wrongdoing at that time. Lord Zeeks. And of course, the following morning there was more activity at Mr. Shakespeare's address. More activity? Ah, yes! You mean his fellow lodger, Mr. Natsume, being arrested on suspicion of murder? That's right. And as the defense has already proposed, Mr. Shakespeare was meddling with the gas in the pipe for a very sinister reason himself, to cause the gas stove in Mr. Natsume's room to go out, thereby asphyxiating the occupant. But once Mr. Natsume had been arrested, his room was under constant surveillance by the police. In the circumstances, Mr. Shakespeare had no reason to blow air into the gas pipe. His intended victim being in a prison cell. With the need to tamper with the gas removed, the poison lay on the pipe lay dormant. And then 3 days ago now, the situation changed again. Right, Mr. Natsume's trial, which took place here at the Old Bailey, came to an end. along with my audio quality. The trial in which the man stood accused of stabbing Miss Green in the back and was duly acquitted. And that resulted in Mr. Natsume returning to his lodgings for the first time in 2 days. And that very night, his gas stove mysteriously went out, and Mr. Shamspear was mysteriously poisoned. In conclusion, the poison that was present on the mouth of the gas pipe had been put there in the victim's room for some 4 days earlier. Mary! With that new understanding, it becomes clear that this letter was all part of the plan. What plan? The court will recall the note gave instructions to visit the Slug and Salad at 5 o'clock, and that the recipient should tell nobody else. The reason for those instructions are clear now. To ensure that the lodger would not be at home at the stated time. To make sure I wasn't home. Exactly. While you were out, Miss Green could safely slip into your room without knowing she wouldn't be disturbed. You mean to say that letter was written by Miss Green, yes. And in order to cover her tracks, she took it away with her when she left. Just after she smeared poison over the mouth of the gas pipe in your room. Order! What do you have to say for yourself, witness? Just who are you? Why did you try to kill me? Miss Green's motive should be obvious. It's all tied up with someone whose name we've heard several times already during the course of this trial. So that's what's behind all this. You will share your apparent understanding with the court, please, counsel. Which person is behind this woman's motive for the attack on the victim's life? Duncan Ross.
Take that!
Duncan Ross? That's right. Before the defendant, Mr. Natsume, took up residence in the lodgings at Mr. Garrett's, somebody else was renting the room. Mr. Duncan Ross. I knew I heard the name somewhere else. It was all over the papers a month ago when the man died in strange circumstances at the haunted lodgings. That does ring a vague... Ah, of course, yes, I remember now. The young man they claimed was strangled by a convict's curses and such. Sadly, my lord, it wasn't a curse of any kind, nor was it an accident. The man died as a result of Mr. Shakespeare blowing into the gas pipe and causing gas to leak into the room. It was murder, plain and simple. Ah, great.
Well, what do you know? The world is so unfair. Curses, curious deaths, that's all people care about. It's an interesting story they want to know. It doesn't cross their minds that real people are involved. Once they're bored, just 1 month later, once the sewers lose its appeal, everyone's forgotten him. You mean you? Duncan was...
Mr. Ross was Miss Green's fiancé.
Fiancé?
You may not have known until now who Miss Green was, is Mr. Shamspear. But she's known exactly who you are all along. Because you're her sworn enemy, the murderer who took the life of the man she was to marry.
Marry!
Miss Green, was it not the case that in order to exact revenge on Mr. Shamspear, you smear poison over the end of the gas pipe. This is all quite extraordinary. Am I correct in my understanding that you now accuse both parties, counsel? Each on different counts of murder? Well, her just attempted murder. Well, let's get one. Yes, my lord. That's correct.
Objection!
Inhaling so deeply, it appears my fleshly honored friend has taken in a lungful of dubious gases, causing his judgment to be clouded. How can you charge Olive Green with murder when the intended victim is standing here before the court, you buffoon? What? Why would Mr. Shamsbury have wanted to kill these lodgers as you say? You have completely failed to provide a motive to substantiate your accusation against the man, despite the fact that no motive happens occasionally.
Yes, that's right, Mr. Reaper, my liege. I have been slain. 'Tis lies, all lies. I deny every utterance.
You have to forgive me, Mr. Naruto-san.
Yes, because he's so rude, is it? But I don't intend to admit anything either.
Miss Green.
I'm sorry I think I'm being very rude, but I'm not going to be sent to the gallows with lies of this
Objection!
But you broke into the man's room. If you didn't do it to smear poison on the pipe, what was your reason?
Thought I'd have a look around, that's all. That's all.
Sorry?
You're right, I suspect it's him. So I thought perhaps someone conspiracy or something in his room. Else it was him who shot Duncan's life. Oh, vileness, oh, villainy, oh, tyranny, oh, atrocity of woman. But in any case, whenever I left my room, I do turn the key in the lock. Oh, the place is falling apart. The locks on the doors are no different. Duncan showed me once I unlocked the door with some perhaps a piece of wine. Oh, awfulness, oh, artfulness, oh, tyranny, oh, profanity of woman!
We will consider your trespassing on some future occasion, but for now, tell the court what you found, what evidence your search revealed.
Well, I spotted a note that had something lying on the floor. When I went to pick it up, I noticed something. Oh, the floor was loose, and underneath it I discovered a secret hiding place. Eh?
Yes, we also discovered that hiding place.
Inside we found a newspaper cutting and photograph and an empty 10 bots. Oh, yes, well the thing is, when I found it, the box wasn't empty.
What? There was something in it?
Yes. This rather nice key. What are you doing with that?
What the?
Every ounce of color is drained from his face. Give it here! Give it to me now! It's mine! I inherited it!
What was that, witness? What did you say? You inherited it?
No,
What's all this about? He inherited that key? I'm getting really hungry.
It was obviously important to you since you came to such lengths to hide it, so I took it. I don't know what it's for, but you get something precious from me, so I'll take something precious from you. So what if it means you can't open something now? I don't care.
Give it back this minute! Give it to me! Calm yourself, witness. So Mr. Shakespeare is right, and in one case it seemed to take the life of 2 lodgers now. Yes, his motive for doing so is the key to solving everything that's happened. It's true that there appears to be no motive to support the accusation against Mr. Shakespeare at first. Considering everything we know now, or we now know, I think there is actually something that could explain it. What? I need to recall every piece of evidence at our disposal. Everything we've seen and heard. Because I'm sure that I can just got a glimpse of the link that runs through all these events. In that case, counsel, I must demand that you present evidence to the court in support of your claim. What is it that you can say explains the motivation for Mr. Shakespeare's alleged crimes?
Take that!
Capital Offenders File. That's an official police report, is it not? The Selden file? How did you get a hold of that? Is it Selden? The now sadly deceased Mr. Ross and the defendant Mr. Natsume have only one thing linking them. The fact that they had lodgings in the same room. Well, yes. We know this certainly. Those formerly occupied by Selden. Until that is, he was arrested by Scotland Yard for his involvement in multiple burglaries. I see. And it so happens that the convict Selden had one very substantial mystery when he died. The sum £1,000 worth of loot that he stole, which has yet remains to be found. Ah, yes, of course, it's coming back to me now. It's written in his file right here. £1,000 lost en route to hell. That was how the papers summed it up. And it seems that one particular fellow inmate was with the convict in his final moments. It's not hard to imagine Selden entrusting that inmate with his most closely guarded secret. The location of the stolen loot, and perhaps a key to unlock whatever container the valuables were in.
These keys!
Mr. Shakespeare, it was you, wasn't it? You were at the capital offender's side when he died, were you not?
What are you talking about? It's a false charge, I tell you, a false charge!
The name of the inmate was with Selden. His death isn't noted in this file, but a simple telegram to the prison where he died would quickly tell us how false the charge really is. But even if it's true, why would the man be so intent on killing every subsequent occupant of the convent's lodgings? There's only one explanation for that, my lord. He's trying to procure the lodgings himself so he can find the treasure. It was in that very room that Selden hid his loot. So it all comes out. Yes, and having established that, all Mr. Shakespeare's subsequent actions start to make perfect sense. When he was let out of prison following Selden's death, he made immediately for Mr. Gerdo's lodgings in the renting Selden's old room. However, the retired army man was unable to offer him the accommodation of his choice. Because Selden's old room had already been let to somebody else, Mr. Duncan Ross. Which is why Mr. Shakespeare subsequently devised his gas-based plot to kill the occupant of the room. And when he was successful, he presumably intended to inquire about switching into the newly vacant room. However, a certain jittery someone had beaten him to it. Mr. Sasaki Natsume, the defendant in this case, no less. So you decided to use the ploy with the gas again, didn't you, Mr. Shakespeare? This time to oust Mr. Natsume. All for one simple and avaricious reason. to get your hands on the 1,000 pounds of loot left behind by the dead convict.
You.
Looks like I'm gonna snuff it before they get to stretch me neck. Listen, I want you to have me loot anything to stop the coppers getting their mitts on it. It didn't in the room where I was lodging where they got me. Yeah, this is the key to it. Take it. Always stay one step ahead, mate. See you in hell, I guess. Shamspear.
It's mine.
What did he just say?
It's mine. That loot is mine.
Mr. Shakespeare?
It's all lies. I don't accept any of it. Why should I? After all, you don't have a shred of evidence. I can't prove I killed that fellow. Forsooth, I'm the victim here, remember? Isn't that right, ladies and gentlemen? If I don't admit it, there's nothing you can do. You can't arrest me, for the time being anyway. Verily, you can't arrest the victim, can you? Isn't that right, ladies and gentlemen? I'm so close, I just need a few more hours. I swore to myself that I'd get my hands on it, and I can almost taste it now. Do you really think I'd just give up?
There's no question in my mind now. This man is guilty through and through.
He seems so utterly intoxicated by the idea of that loot. I'm afraid that however hard you press him, he'll never admit to what he's done, Mr. Naruto.
There is a way.
Pardon?
There's one way I can finish him.
No!
He's already committed the most heinous crimes to get his hands on that loot, which means all we need to do is find it first. A fine plan. Were it not for the fact that the police thoroughly searched the room following the death of Mr. Ross. If it's there at all, it must be very well hidden indeed. Without conclusive evidence, I certainly cannot rule. Well, hey, you know what? Right now, it's leaning more not guilty than guilty.
If only there was some way we could find the convict so quickly.
This is the final piece in this complex puzzle, but I think we might have it in our possession already. Or rather, I think we might have something that can help us find where that loot is hidden. My lord. Yes, counsel? The defense would like to make a proposal about how to find the late convict's hidden loot. I believe we're already in possession of something that could give us a clue as to its whereabouts. It's our last chance, so it has to be worth a gamble. And besides, we've used this unit once already, and it definitely paid off then. Very well then, counsel, let the court hear your idea. What do you propose we can use in order to locate the hiding place of this convict hall? Oh, I can't present... to represent this then? The skin... This is the only thing that mentions the skin print seeker gun.
Take that!
If I'm not mistaken, those are Mr. Shamspeare's handprints on the wall of his lodgings. That's right, my lord. It's supposed as a result of the defense's independent investigation of the scene. Based on a wonderful new discovery in the field of forensic science by the great detective, Mr. Sholmes. A great detective? Is that some kind of joke? Do you really think I'm going to be daunted by a man with such a ridiculous title? I should think the great bard ought to recognize such a title when he hears one, Mr. Shamspeare. Perhaps we should compete for the honor of most ridiculous title. Ah! 'Tis Herlock Sholmes himself! What are you doing here, great detective? Your usual haunts are the filthy back streets of the capital, are they not? Ah, Mr. Reaper, it's been too long. And I see your complexion as well since last we met. Mr. Sholmes! He does know what antiques then. I'll have to say something like that in any case. Mr. Sholmes, though you may be heralded as a great detective by the population at large, that does not give you the right to come and go in my courtroom as you see fit.
If I may, my lord, Mr. Sholmes' newly developed scientific method has helped us uncover vital clues in this case already.
Clues, you say? I call them skin prints, my lord. My method identifies every location touched by an individual under scrutiny. It's the method by which we were able to ascertain this gentleman's gas pipe activities.
Oh!
You need only a small sample of something the individual has previously touched to make an indicator solution. In your case, sir, I used the teacup you had been holding. Elementary. So now, Mr. Naruhodo. Ah, yes? What am I to use as a sample to make the indicator solution this time? Thank you for offering to help, Mr. Sholmes. When Conrad was arrested, he was living in what is now Saseki-san's room. When this sample to help locate his that was in the room, what form will that sample take? We will need something of Selden's in order to create the indicator solution to find his loot, and something that the convent owned happens to be in the possession of somebody listed in the court record. Upon my word, Mr. Naruto, your powers of reasoning appear to be on the up. So, which particular person do you have in mind? From whom can we obtain possession of the late convict's... Selden to create the indicator solution? Green. Miss Green, she had the key, right? I'm double-clicking and it doesn't work.
Take that!
Miss Green.
Me? What do you want with me?
The key around your neck, if you please.
Sorry?
That key belonged to Selden. There will be remnants of secretions from the man's skin on its surface that we can use. Very true. That is the sample we need. Using it, we can create the indicator solution required for Mr. Sholmes' skin print seeker. And find out exactly what Selden touched in the room that he used to write. Mr. Shamspeare, that's one great to another, I assure you. Sorry, I bumped the arm of my chair forward. The late convict's hull is hidden somewhere in his former lodgings. I shall uncover it in no more than 30 minutes. So, Mr. Shamspeare, the truth is well within our grasp now, and as such, you will never get your hands on Selden's stolen wealth.
In that case, I'll gladly let Mr. Sholmes have this key.
No! Give the key to me! The detective shan't have it! It's over, Mr. Shamspeare.
No!
You're out of options now. There's only one thing left for you to do. Admit your guilt.
Whoa! Oh, shameful spear! Despair! Be thy name!
Where did Olive go? And Sholmes.
I never intended to kill the man. I just wanted to drive him out of the room. That's all.
So you'd have to find the convict's haul of stolen goods? Yet after you killed the young man, you still didn't move into the room.
I asked the landlord, of course. I pleaded with him, but he refused.
Why?
I was 3 months behind with the rent, for one thing.
Mr. Gerda really has had a lot to put up with.
And he had the gas repair work done immediately afterwards, putting the room out of action for a while. And then this Japanese man swooped in just the right moment to sign the new lease.
Poor Mr. Natsume, what unfortunate timing.
Then, 5 days ago, after the incident on Briar Road when the Japanese fellow got himself arrested, I thought I'd finally have my chance, but it wasn't to be.
No, the scene was sealed off and guarded by the police night and day.
And if I remember rightly, Mr. Schultz spent the whole day in there reading books. I couldn't even enter the room, let alone search for the loot.
Which is why on the day Mr. Natsume was acquitted and returned to his room, he once again tried to trick him blowing air into the gas pipe that feeds the stove in his room. Unbeknownst to you, however, that action would lead you into a deadly trap.
Shakespeare, how does it go? To be or not to be? That is the question.
From Shakespeare's Hamlet, Act 3, Scene 1.
Let me tell you, in your case, it's not to be. That is the answer. You deserve to die for what you've done. At first, I really did think it was just a terrible accident. I'll never forget our conversation the night before Duncan died.
The gas supply in my new lodgings are a complete disaster, you know, Olive.
The gas supply?
Yes, the stove always seems to go out in the middle of the night for some reason.
That's no joke. They say it's the convict excuse.
That's no joke. Those are the comments first.
I'm thinking, please don't stay there. I don't care how cheap it is.
Alright then, if it's that important to you, I'll start looking for a new place. There's spare room.
There's spare rooms at my house. Why don't you leave that horrible room tonight?
No, I'd better not. We said we'd wait until we graduated before we told our parents, remember?
But that was the last time we ever spoke. That very night we fell victim to the gas. If I had known it was going to happen, I'd have insisted that you left that horrible room that instant. But instead, all I've been left with is bitter regret. I stopped going to school, but something kept drawing me back to the house on Briar Road. I saw a stupid, easy-looking man with a mustache coming out of the house one day when I was there. He walked up the road to grubs grocery for some food, so I followed him. I sat myself down next to him. Had some water looking soup and started to pick a quarrel with the publican. That place is cursed, I tell you, cursed! The ghost of that convict who used to live there is trying to suffocate me. I wake up in the middle of the night freezing to death because the stove has gone out. The room is full of gas and I can hardly breathe. But the pipes have been checked, no problem there. It's like I'm the problem. That's what they're thinking. But how could that be? Duncan was gone, and now this man had almost suffered the same fate. Could it really be a curse? remembered. I've heard about how the gas company is going to investigating the gas installations.
Bro, are you serious? You mean...
Yes, everybody's read the stories, it seems, about how they go around checking the pipes.
How anything connected to the gas can be extinguished by blowing the air into the pipework.
That's when it started. A little flicker of doubt in the back of my mind that just wouldn't go away. Was it really an accident, though? Until I had the idea it wouldn't leave me alone, playing me night and day and night. So I bought this at one of the black markets in the East End.
A black market?
I've never been. I just heard people talk about them. And they really can't buy anything you think of in there. In some ways, being able to get my hands on this one is like maybe even more determined. After that, one way or the other, or another. Was that an accident, or was it murder?
The chosen method of establishing the truth was simple, but highly effective. Smear poison, the gas pipe you suspected the man of tampering with, and wait. Mr. Chancellor was innocent, nothing would come of what you'd done. But if he was guilty, he would pay for his crimes dearly.
I found out the name I suspected, William Shakespeare. And then I wrote in this little note. I have information regarding the death of Duncan Ross. Come to the Slip and Salad on Briar Road at 5 p.m. on the 17th. Don't tell anyone else about this letter or the reading. It is of the utmost importance. That I knew that would worry him enough so he'd be sure to go. So I waited to see if it worked.
And of course, Mr. Shakespeare followed the instructions to the letter.
I worked out where the gas pipe was straight away. So I swear to get him out of the poison pot all around the mouth of the pipe. And then all the time frames that the devil's work wouldn't be done, and it was all just some wild fantasy. Actually, no. All the time frames that the devil's work would be done, and that the culprit would get his just desserts.
Ago, when you were first stood in the dock before me, and this whole affair seemed relatively straightforward.
Yes, my lord.
I certainly never imagined the depths of depravity that we would subsequently find lurking behind the scenes. It has been a long road, my infamous friend. Oh, yes. One I certainly didn't envisage walking with you. Nevertheless, together we have reached the light at the end of the tunnel, as it were. Miss Green.
Yes, my lord.
You will henceforth be stripped of your freedom, as punishment for the attempted murder of Mr. William Shakespeare.
Yes, I know.
And you, Mr. Shakespeare, you will be tried for the murder of Mr. Duncan Ross in cold blood, and the subsequent attempted murder of Saseki Natsume, here present.
Mr. Naruto?
Yes?
Yesterday at the hospital, when you and your friends stopped me from
ending your life by drinking what was left in the poison bottle?
I wasn't myself. I can't even really remember what was going through my mind. not to be, I suppose? That's a question that's hard to answer, it seems.
Well, personally, I'm glad you're being here, Miss Green.
Oh,
And I'd like to believe that it's a blessing Mr. Chancellor didn't die when he ingested the poison. For your sake, at the very least.
because of you, I chose life, not death. And now you've made the truth come out at last. Really, I can't thank you enough. Oh, Miss Green.
Mr. Saseki Natsuki,
Yes, my lord.
the court declares that you are exonerated from all blame in this matter. Accordingly, I call upon the ladies and gentlemen of the jury to present a verdict of not guilty. We are in full agreement, my lord. In that case, I hereby declare the defendant not guilty. Court is adjourned. February 3:24 p.m. The Old Bailey, defendant's anti-team.
Oh, yes, yes, at last. Divine justice duly done.
Divine justice? My dear fellow, if there were any divine justice in this world, you would shave that mustache.
No, this has nothing to do with my mustache.
Some say the luxuriant mustache is a sign of physical prowess, Mr. Sholmes.
Welcome, student Mr. Naruto Esquire. Once again, you've saved me from doom.
I'm very happy to have been of help, Mr. Hudson. Congratulations on your acquittal. You're second in almost as many days.
I was first acquainted with and gained affection for English literature whilst in our great homeland empire. And then by a twist of fate, I was brought to the land that bore the fruit of that literature. Only, the city of bricks and mortar became my prison. Try as I might, I never found my feet here. In the end, I confined myself to my room and lived life through friendly old books.
You've had such a difficult time, haven't you? Ah, but a week ago now. I tried you out of that dark and dingy room of yours, did I not?
You did. And I've seen more of life in this week than in all my years to date. And for the first time, I feel I've begun to see the true face of the English that's so far been hiding from me behind the wall of fog.
My dear fellow, there's nothing special about the true face of the English, as you put it. Also, beware of that wall of fog. There's always a boss behind them, don't you know? Wheresoever one goes in the world, humans are human. There are few genuine differences.
Yes, I think you're right. I finally started to see that, and I've come to understand something. I worked out why I was so attracted to English literature in the first place. It made me see that whatever our nationality, we humans all have the same hopes and fears. We're all just doing our best to live.
Well said. I've come to feel the same way.
I've made a decision too. I'm going to cut short my study tour here and return to Japan.
What? Just when we'd become friends here in England. What a terrible shame.
Oh, I know. That does tug at my heartstrings. It does. It really does.
I decided I'd like to take everything I've learned here in Britain and write something of my own. A novel of sorts, I suppose.
Oh my! So you'll be creating your own literature, Mr. Natsume? How wonderful!
Oh, well, no, I mean, I wouldn't presume to call it literature. Why not? Why not, when that is precisely the definition, Mr. Mustache? I suppose you're right, yes. It will, in a way, be literature. But as of now, all I know is I'd like to try my hand at writing. I have no delusions of grandeur.
I for one would love to read your work.
Well, all things considered, it may be for the best. After all, you have once again emerged victorious from a battle with the Reaper. That's very true.
And there is no salvation for a person in the dock when the Reaper is the prosecutor.
The desire to return post-haste to the perceived safety of your homeland is one I quite understand.
My goodness, yes. Faced with such a terrifying prospect, nobody would consider that cowardly, I'm quite sure.
But that's not why I'm leaving. I mean it. Objection. Objection! And that was the case we found ourselves embroiled in 6 months ago now. Sasaki-san did indeed return to Japan and submit a report about both cases to the government. It was on reading that report that Professor Mikotoba was prompted to visit the scholar. And barely any time later, Susato-san was given the news that she must return to Japan as well. On the back of a telegram stating falsely that her father had fallen gravely ill. The only possible explanation that comes to mind is what happened after the trial on the following day. The day that we uncovered the loot hidden by the now deceased convict in his former lodgings. To be continued? No, not to be continued. 24th February, 10:13 a.m. in Mr. Natsume's room.
Oh, well done, Mr. Sholmes. How simply marvelous of you to cover the secret hiding place in just one day.
Wasn't it supposed to take 30 minutes? There's a lot of books that probably had to be moved, Renos, okay? As I believe I told you, my dear fellow, skin prints are extremely useful in such situations. Wouldn't you agree, Gregson?
Casey's been happily making an agreement this whole time, you know, Vanny. Happily, I think perhaps humorlessly might be closer to the truth.
So, it transpires the man fashioned a hiding place in the ceiling. And what's in it? What exactly is the loot? Let us look then, if you're ready. Let's examine the late burglar's haul. What is that? A collar with a bunch of blood on it.
It looks to be some sort of neckband or collar.
A collar? It's huge, though.
And look at all the gemstones in it. You see, now it was going to be worth 1,000 pounds. Perhaps I could have it as a belt. Oh, have you noticed on the inside there? There's some dark stains.
You don't think they could be blood, do you? There's quite a lot of it.
On second base, perhaps I won't have it as a belt. Then of course, there's this emblem here. A large letter B and a small crown.
What does it signify, do you think?
Innocent. I've seen that emblem somewhere before, you know. Where could it have been?
Yeah, it does look familiar. Like, I'm not making that up. I think they've legitimately shown this emblem at some point either in this game or the last one. That's enough of that, I think. What? What's the matter with Mr. Schultz? All the color is drained from his face. Well, Inspector, I do believe you ought to be taking this onto you. It could be valuable evidence, after all. It must be kept safely under lock and key. Ah, yes. Get your grubby hands off that yacht and hand it over now. I've never seen a collar that large before. And all those jewels certainly look to be extremely valuable. That's not what stood out the most to me. At least not once I noticed it. Those dark marks on the inside of the collar. Those stains. Could they really have been blood?
That was a fun case, wasn't it? It's all buttoned up now.
And you look very pleased, Iris.
Because I was saying to you what I could use as the basis of this month's story in the magazine. But this case will be perfect. It's been so fascinating.
Talking about the latest installment of the adventures for Sherlock Holmes, I presume.
You saved the lake in the mist. And the mustache man on the Congress curse, perhaps. I can make it a two-part story. Oh, I can't wait.
A word, please, Iris.
Yes, what is it, Amy?
I'm sorry, but you can't write about this case. It's out of the question.
What? Why not? It's a great case.
Then I shall have to insist that you limit yourself to the first of your two titles. The second must never be written. Is that clear?
Yes.
And so it was that the second of Souseki-san's cases became buried in obscurity.
Alright, Sholmes, the fuck do you know?
Now, looking back, I feel I understand. I can see why Mr. Sholmes forbade Iris from publishing the story. It would take a little longer before I saw the link between everything that had happened and would happen. For it wasn't until 2 months after the arrival of Susato-san's letter that events began to unfurl again. With an incident that took place at the very heart of the eagerly awaited Great Exhibition of London.
The Crystal Tower? And... Alright, that's where we're going to end the video as well as stream, because it's been 4.5 hours. I would go for longer, but the heat is starting to build up in my room. I don't want to run the risk of like exhausting myself too much. So that's where we're gonna end things off tonight. Tomorrow we will be doing more Golden Sun Lost Age and more Golden Sun Lost Age and more actually yeah, just more Golden Sun Lost Age. There might not be a whole lot left on that, and if not, we'll probably start going back into some of the... I'm hoping it won't be that rough to go back to some of the... to some older games that I have started but haven't finished, such as Spider-Man 2, as well as there's God of War Ragnarok DLC for us to do, and all kinds of other stuff. But anyway, that's all for tonight, so good night. I'll see you all tomorrow.